Hey Nori, it's your FUNcle Brandon here. Well, I hope you've had a good day. FUNcle Brandon's just in from work. Busy day. So tonight I thought we'd read The Snail and the Whale. This is a tale of a tiny snail and a great big grey-blue humpback whale. This is a rock as black as soot, and this is a snail with an itchy foot. The sea snail slithered all over the rock and gazed at the sea and the ships in the dock. As she gazed, she sniffed and sighed. The sea is deep, the world is wide. How I long to sail, said the tiny snail. There's the rock and the little snail. There's everything that the snail's looking at. The snail wants to sail. There are other snails in the flock who all stuck tight to the smooth black rock, and said to the snail with the itchy foot, "Be quiet, don't wriggle. Sit still, stay put." But the tiny sea snail sighed and sniffed, then cried, "I've got it. I'll hitch a lift." This is the trail of the tiny snail, a slivery trail that looped and curled and said, "Lift wanted around the world." So the little snail left the rock with all of his friends and went to that rock and wrote a message for somebody to read it. Very clever snail. This is the whale who came one night when the tide was high and the stars were bright. A humpback whale, immense and long, who sang to the snail a wonderful song. Oh, shimmering ice and coral waves and shooting stars and enormous waves. And this is the tale of the humpback whale. He held it out to the starlight sea and said to the snail, "Come sail with me." So there's the big whale. And he's put his tail out there, and look what that little snail's done. Little snail's hopped on. Wow. This is the sea, so wild and free, that carried the whale and the snail on his tail to towering icebergs and off to far lands. Wow, look at all the penguins looking at the snails out there, and see the snail on the tail? All the penguins having a look, having a wave, and he's off there out in the icy water. Fantastic. With fiery mountains and golden sands. So they found a big fiery mountain there, the whale and the snail. Wow, really good. Oh look, there's Yano. These are the waves that arched and crashed, that foamed and frolicked and sprayed and splashed. The tiny snail on the tail of the whale. Wow. These are the caves beneath the waves where the stripy fish with feathery fins and sharks with hideous toothy grins swam around the whale and the snail on his tail. Look, so there's the big waves, and there's the sharks looking at the little snail on the tail. Wow. This is the sky so vast and high, sometimes sunny and blue and warm, sometimes filled with thunderstorms, with zigzag lightning flashing and frightening the tiny snail on the tail of the whale. So the tiny snail getting a little bit scared by the rain and the flash and lightning. But I think the little snail will be okay. As she gazed at the sky, the sea and the land, the waves and the caves and the golden sand, she gazed and gazed, amazed by it all, and she said to the whale, "I feel so small." So there's a big bear there, and the beautiful bald eagle. And there's the snail on the tail. But he feels so small because everything's so big around him. Fantastic. But then came the day when the whale lost his way. These are speedboats running in race, zigging and zooming all over the place, upsetting the whale with their ear-splitting roar, making him swim too close to the shore. So look at all them naughty people. Look at them. Making a mess, and the whale got too close to the shore and the tide was slipping away. And this is the whale lying beached in the bay. "Quick, off the sand and back to the sea," cried the snail. "I can't move on land, I'm too big," moaned the whale. The snail felt helpless and terribly small. Then, "I've got it," she cried, and started to crawl. "I must not fail," said the tiny snail. So look at the poor whale. He's out of the water. Whales can't be out of the water. Oh, and the little snail is going to go off there to try and come up with an idea. This is the bell on the school in the tiny bay, ringing the children from their play. This is the teacher holding her chalk, telling the class, sit straight, don't talk. This is the board, as black as soot. And this is the snail with the itchy foot. A snail, the teacher turns pale. Looks at the children, it's leaving a trail. This is the trail of the tiny snail, a silvery trailing saying, save the whale. So look, all the children at school playing. There's the teacher, she seems fun. And there's the snail writing on the chalkboard, save the whale. Very clever snail. These are the children running from school, fetching the fireman, digging a pool, squirting and spraying to keep the whale cool. Look, so there's the children, and there's the fire engines, and they're digging a hole with the diggers. See the diggers, and putting water on the whale to keep it cool, because whales need water. This is the tide coming into the bay. And these are the villagers shouting, hooray, as the whale and the snail travel safely away. So look, all the water came in from the big hole they dug. And there they are, the whale and the snail. Off they go. Happy days. Everybody's a winner. Back to the dock and the flock on the rocks, who said, how time's flown, and haven't you grown? And the whale and the snail told a wonderful tale on shimmering ice and coral waves, and shooting stars and enormous waves, and how the snail, so small and so frail, with a looping, curling, silvery trail, saved the life of the humpback whale. And then the humpback whale held out his tail, and crawled the snail after snail after snail. Oh, look, so the whale and the snail have told all the other snails the story, and now all the snails are going on the whale's tail. Well, it looks like they're all going to have a holiday. Fantastic. And they sang to the sea as they all set sail on the tail of the grey blue humpback whale. Oh, and this is the end. So there they are, all on the tail. The little birdie's thinking, what's going on there? And there's the whale, taking them all off to sea so they can have a really good time. Well, Nori, hope you've enjoyed FUNcle Brandon's bedtime story for you. FUNcle Brandon's going to go play golf now, after his tough day at work. But remember, Nori, FUNcle Brandon loves you.